Jose Valdez is the master distiller behind Tequila Partida, a guardian of tradition and a rebel in the distillery. With decades of experience and zero tolerance for shortcuts, he's built a legacy rooted in purity, precision, and pride. This isn't tequila for the masses. It's tequila with a soul. On this episode of Tactical Tequila Podcast with your host, Matt Wilson. If you enjoy the show, hit the like button, subscribe, and share it to your social media platforms. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show. Welcome back, everyone. Tonight we have a great show planned for you. We have Jose Valdez, the master distiller for Tequila Partida, on the show. He just doesn't distill tequila, he distills truth. Jose Valdez has spent decades perfecting a spirit that refuses to be rushed, diluted, or faked. As a master behind Partida's soul, he's battled trends, tasted pressure, and held the line between heritage and innovation with fire in his veins. It's not just about agave, it's about legacy, obsession, and relentless pursuit of something real in a world drowning in artificial. Jose, welcome to the show. I appreciate your time and I appreciate you being on the show. Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here, Matt.
I want to do some rapid fire questions with you. Which one offends you more, an additive laced tequila or an undercooked blanco?
Undercooked blanco. You mean that is not well cooked?
Yes.
Like very fast cooking, maybe not with the traditional method.
Yes.
I have to choose one. I think both are very bad. I don't like tequilas, industrial tequilas that are cooked in diffuser. Normally, tequilas that are cooked fast are not well cooked in the traditional method is with artificial flavor, just to cover that bad profile. Or try to fix that taste that is not pleasant. So if I have to choose one of those, I think the additives. I prefer the artificial rather than the bad industrial, as we call, not distillery, what we call refineries of agave.
For you, what's more important, the nose, the taste, or the finish on a tequila?
I think nose is, over the years, I have learned that nose has a wider range of aromas. Obviously, the taste is very important to match what is identifying the nosing, but nose is definitely the most important for me.
If the agave could speak to you, what would it say about tequila's industry today?
Respect me. Respect me as a plant, and wait. Don't rush. Don't put me a lot of herbicides, pesticides. Don't domesticate me a lot. Give me some time and respect. Treat me well.
And one word that defines Partida.
Consistency. Also, quality and consistency is two words with the consistency.
If you had one last batch to distill, like it was your very last batch that you were ever going to distill, what would you do differently than what you do now?
I think I will distill higher proof, modify the cuts, and if it's for me, I would elevate the high proof and keep that batch for me.
Okay. When it comes to tequila, what does tequila mean to you? Not just the industry, not the brand. You personally, what does tequila mean to you?
I think tequila represents culture, a country, a civilization. Yeah, it's more powerful that currently trend is so many people that have worked to develop this industry, this beverage. And I'm not talking about only about the farmers and tequila producer or distilleries, but also the government and the distribution and the bartenders and people who work in education about tequila. I think, yeah, tequila it's more than a trend and more than a beverage. Is a is a culture. Is a culture that it will last for many years.
Yeah, I can definitely see it as it's a way of life for many. Having been to Mexico, 5 times last year, and just seeing everything that goes into one bottle of tequila and quality made tequila, everything that goes, everything from labeling to the humidors, in the fields, and the master distiller, the cooking process, you name it. It's definitely a way of life for many.
It is a way of life. If you visit the distilleries and you know this industry, the maestros tequileros and the different production processes and labelings, as you said, is the result of many generation in many cases, no? In many generation that passed and transmit that passion. And I think we are living a new era because when we started Partida 20 years ago, the knowledge it was only from the families, from that passed from, let's say, from one generation to another generation, and relatives, only family members. And because we are living an era that is the digital era, that the information is spread, is everywhere, is in the social media, is in cell phones, is in laptops, is everywhere. I think is more access to learn and to experiment and to have more knowledge, if you will, in the production. So it's an amazing boom. The demand of tequila plus the new generation of maestros tequileros and from families and even people that are not from family, people that just study like myself. I'm not from a family of tequila, but I'm a passion that I have dedicated 20 plus year of my life to understand the production and the profile of different tequilas, and that's what passion, that's the passion, no? That I have and the transition that I have seen in over these 20 years.
And not having come from a family that has done it for generations, 20 plus years of doing what you do, at what point in your life did you realize that it was your calling to be a master distiller, to be more than just part of the brand?
It was at the very early stage of the project. When we started Partida, we decided to work with the first distillery, and it was a manufacturing distillery for, I think, was the first year. But this distillery was new as well because it was built a couple of years before we started. So they didn't have too much experience like us. We were in the same stage. We will say we were amateurs in making tequila and distillery. It was very new. It was a farmer family that built that distillery, and we start working with them. And then after the first year, we know that we need professional assistance, and that's when we decided to bring expert uh, coaches, people that have dedicated as an employee, not as a family members of company, chemis people or industrial engineers or chemical, physical chemical engineers that work in the industry for many years that were retired. We hired a couple of these coaches, and they came to us. They help us to teach us. And right after the first course, or the first course about mastering tequila, was opened by the University of Guadalajara. So the institution of education about how to make tequila in the technical production processes started like 15 years ago. But before that, you either belong to a family or you hire people that have experience and work in many distilleries or in the same distillery many years, which was our case. So we brought an expert because the first year the consistency was not good. One batch were very good, but the other was not very good. So we listen our customers, especially in California, when we launched the tequila. And yeah, we started only with Blanco. So one batch of Blanco was extremely good, like super tasty, greasy, herbal, no, very nice Blanco. And then the second was not as good, no. And so we didn't have all the tools, so we need help, and we identified that, and we brought professionals. Uh, but the struggle or the fight was because the professionals sometimes they want to make a very uh, industrial the production process, or very artificial because they work with big brands, and big brands normally they have to standardize in certain way the production. So that was the struggle that I have with the coaches. Say, okay, I understand, but since day one I want to be a brand with no additives. No, but all the industry does, and it's part of the, and it's allowed. There's nothing bad with that. And I said, I know, but I want to do Partida additive free. No coloring, no flavoring, not sweetener, nothing. So it was a big challenge for us to keep a good profile, consistency in a natural way.
Having been in the tequila industry for as long as you have, is there anything that still keeps you up at night?
Of course, I learn every time, and I discuss this with my distillery manager and quality manager, Francisco. Francisco Ruiz is a chemist, and he's running all the quality and consistency of our production. And I have a very often meeting with him about how can we learn more about the production process, how can we experiment with a different alembic, or moving the cuts of heads and tails, or doing a fermentation a little different, or using more water or less water, the Brix degree, like all the variables. It's the way we have to do it. Is a challenge because obviously every batch is a lot of tequila, and so normally what we do is at the lab stage, and then the challenge is one when we prove at the laboratory to escalate in one batch or in one run of production, and then measure both the analysis, the physical, the chromatographic analysis, which tells us the alcohol, the aldehídos, ésteres, the furfural, the alcoholes superiores, so all the physical chemicals, but also the profile, the tasting. So we have a panel tasting, and we measure both, and yeah, we keep learning from the expert. But the expert normally are people that are more old school, not influencers. Normally, influencers are good to communicate, and they have a lot of followers, and they know a lot, but they know from visiting distillery, not to actually producing. And so what is more important to us is to convince ourselves by trial and error. Because even a distillery producer, with a lot of respect from other distilleries, additive free, we is different distillery. We need to do it in our distillery. It's different equipment, it's different water, it's different location. So yeah, it's like a kitchen, it's like a chef. So I compare all the time, and yeah, that's the challenge that we have. But answering your question, yes, I constantly try to improve, and that's why we have so many products. We have 8 products. We have Blanco, Reposado, Añejo, Añejo Cristalino, which Cristalino, I was against Cristalino. I can tell you about the Cristalino, but then we did our Cristalino additive free, and then Extra Añejo. That's the base of our tequilas, and then we do the double cask tequilas, which is the Roble Fino line, Reposado, Añejo, and Reposado Cristalino. So we have 8 products, and obviously many other projects like single barrel of Reposado, single barrel of Añejo, and we are about to launch locally, but not locally, but for niche, like some people we're gonna launch the high proof Blanco Partida this year.
That's amazing, and I love high proof blancos over strength or still strength and overproofed tequilas. So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Sure, we can. You can be included in the list that we're gonna consider for this batch. This is gonna be a very small batch, just to. It's not gonna be national. It's gonna be. I mean, not to all the retailers that we work and distributor. We're gonna select a few audience, like let's say some agave clubs, some influencers, some key retailers that sell online national, and see what's it's like a test to see how it goes.
Well, I would love to be included into the list and greatly appreciate that. There's a lot of science that goes into distilling. Do you ever consider yourself more of a artist than a scientist?
I think at my very early stage, I'm an engineer. I was very by the book, if you will. No, like if we have to age 6 months, it's 6 months. No 6 months and 1 day. And I was very unflexible with my team. I was very, 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 very disciplined to follow everything by the rules. Over the years, I have learned, Matt, that you develop over the years the feelings and the tasting in the view and the taste and the smell. Just to give you an idea, when we are cooking the agave, when we open, I normally like when we open every batch, go and see how the agave is cooked, the color, and then grab a piece of the cooking up, crack the small penca and taste it, just to see not only the flavor but also what we call the hydrolysis, the percentage of cooking. You can send to a lab and to measure exactly the percentage of cooking, but telling by tasting, not only myself, but also Francisco and maybe Daniel, which is the other distillery manager, and we can came to a conclusion to say, hey, this is well cooked, not well cooked, just by tasting. No, the same with the fermentation. If we walk through the open fermentation and see the bubbles, to see the foam and the activation, the temperature, even without measuring the Brix degree or the time that we know has been fermenting, we know more or less in which part of the fermentation it is, and also if it's going to be a good profile based on the aromas. If it's fruity, if it's creamy, if it's herbals, if we identify these aromas, and also the distillation, no, is very visual. The heads and tails you see, it's especially in the second fermentation. In the second distillation, when we are doing the cuts of heads and tails, the quality of the alcohol visually change. No, from the first, the heads are sometimes not as clear as is the heart of the distillation, which is completely crystal. So you can tell by some signs of view, smell, taste, the whole process. Also the barrel, the aging. So I would say at the beginning of my career was extremely science, but I complement with the experience. I will say with the experience of seeing so many batch of production and aging and bottling that over the years I developed. But I also don't trust 100% on myself. So I have a team that normally is my team that we approve every batch of the production in quality and also in the bottling if it's good enough, the stabilization of it needs more air or more filtration, obviously in a natural way, no. So we have our tricks. We have developed our the devices such as a tank that we develop with the air inside. We put some tubes, uh, like a flout tubes with some holes where the bubble is a small one, and we put air without oil, obviously, very clean and inocular air that we put, and this air help to do these bubbles with the tequila dilution and stabilization, and it's gonna accelerate in a natural way the marriage between the water, the volcanic water that we have a well inside the distillery, uh, with the tequila. So that marriage takes time. I learned from the mezcaleros, from the maestros mezcaleros, the real maestros mezcaleros, not the well. There's all the real. They're all real, but the old school mezcaleros, then they don't believe in putting water. The mezcal, they say, okay, this mezcal is at 45, it's 45. This mezcal is 48, it's 48. This mezcal is 50, it's 50. No, you don't. But in the tequila industry, for many, many years, we have cut the tequilas, no, with water. Many. Uh, so, um, so yeah, I mean, I have experimented over the years to find the perfect balance between the art and the science.
For as long as that you've been in the industry, what is one mistake that distillers make that you refuse to make?
I think one that they don't pay too much attention, and to me is a mistake, is to keep the agave, fresh agave when it's harvested, so many hours or days without processing. Sometimes normally the harvesting happen in the morning, no, when the sun rise, let's say 6 a.m., and depends how many jimadores is the group, as we call the cuadrilla, how many, yeah, harvester are working in that moment, and they fill a full container or a full truck. Then that truck, depends where how far is from the distillery, arrive by midday, maybe 2 3 p.m. So normally some distilleries stop at that time and they wait until next day to process that agave. In some bigger distilleries, they receive not only one container, sometimes two or three or four, and that agave is going to dry out if it's not processed fast. It's going to lose freshness and it's going to lose sugar. So some distilleries make that mistake. In our case, we have the policy to organize our production as most efficient as possible in terms of receive, and we not no more than 24 hours after the harvesting start the cooking process. So it's a challenge, yeah, because you have to organize people, and then sometimes doesn't, like right now is the raining season, so normal the harvesting, it takes a little longer because sometimes it's not easy to reach to access to this agave field because, yeah, it's more a lot of model in the a lot of soil with the water becomes very sticky for the trucks and for the workers, and it's risky. So sometimes is more challenging in some season like right now. But yeah, I will say that's the mistake I try to omit all the time.
Can a tequila ever be too perfect?
Oh yeah, I think so. I think I mean nothing is perfect, is perfectable, I would say. And I have the mindset of continuous improvement, that learn from the past and try to improve every single, as we call, uh, uh, units, production units, we call, which is cooking, milling, fermentation, distillation, and aging. So how can we perfect it and improve every single part of this? Because, it's a line that if you don't cook well, if you overcook, you're going to burn out some sugar, and that is going to be not efficient, number one, but also the taste is going to be different, and the alcohol quality is going to be different. So the perfection to me is to make a tequila that tastes very good balance, with good body, balance in flavors, natural, and omit the stinky aromas that are sometimes there due to the fermentation that is a longer fermentation, or a malolactic or second fermentation. But that can be retained in the distillation with the copper. That's why many distilleries use copper, either copper alembic, or like in our case, the coil is made out of copper and it's a stainless steel outside. So yeah, to me, the perfection is both have a great profile, but also be not. We cannot say healthy alcohol, but less harmful alcohol. And the alcohol that we need to pay attention, and the authorities pay attention for the human consumption, are two. One is the methanol, and the second is a group of alcohol called superior alcohol. And every batch of tequila in the industry has to be analyzed with a chromatographic analysis. And this chromatographic analysis is made by the CRT or your distillery, the big companies, if they are certified with these organisms, international organisms. And they measure the methanol, more things, but the most important for us in terms of quality is the methanol and the superior alcohol. So the maximum that the authority allows for methanol is 300, right? Milligrams over 1,000 milliliters. And superior alcohol is 500. So in our case, we put our standard, we reduce our standard. We said, I know 300 is okay, less than up to 300 and up to 500. But I challenge my team and I say, now at the beginning it was 200 for methanol, then 150, then 100. How can we make production that the methanol is the lowest? Because to me, quality is not only to taste good, which is very important for the consumer, but to make you feel good during the tasting or the moment you are enjoying, and after, the hours after, and the next day, no? Because it's your body, is what you're putting in your body. You want the best. And to me, the perfection goes in that direction, to make one side a good balance in flavors and aromas with good personality and low methanols. And it's a challenge, because normally tequilas that are very strong in flavor, very, as we call them, very mezcal tequilas, that is very, very strong, very smoky, very agave driven, sometimes very good, but also very high in methanols. And that's a problem, because you're going to enjoy the flavor and the aromas and the experience, but you're going to pay the price the next day. And I think in Partida, that's what makes Partida separately to other additive frees. That is an additive free that, is not the most strongest flavor or the most powerful mezcal tequila, no, or more a smoky tequila, but you're gonna be 100% sure that is the best quality in the physical chemical, and it's 100% natural. Only agave and volcanic water. Even our yeast is wild yeast, no, that we propagate from the environment and from the agave, and that's it in every batch.
With your wild yeast, do you, what trees, or fruit trees, anything like that? What do you have growing around the distillery that you gather the wild yeast from?
Mainly mangoes. That's the biggest. It's a tropical fruit, and to us is very important. But also we have citrics such as orange, grapefruit, and lime. And that's basically what we have in the property in La Authentica in 5002. That's the tree that you can find.
Okay. Throughout the whole process and trying to maintain tradition, what's one element of the process that you'll never automate?
That I will never eliminate?
Automate.
Automate. Oh, like making automatic. I think the distillation. I think distillation cannot be automatic. Even the EI and the advantage of making perfect cuts. I think, like I said, the beginning of my career was very science and measure everything. I continue to do it that, but I think the feeling, a machine will never tell you the profile, the tasting profile. Might tell you the structure of substance that are in the tequila, but it's to me it's hard to believe and to see. Uh, Plus, how can you correct something that is it's uh, the distillation is the way you separate the quality alcohols from the not quality alcohol, and sometimes uh, you can identify problems in the process that can be corrected prior to the distillation. And so you detect it there, so you can say, okay, this is because this batch it was overcooked or undercooked, or this fermentation was shorter or longer, or it was faster. Uh, so so yeah, I think distillation is the artistic part that I will never automatic make automatic.
As a master distiller, what's the boldest decision that you've ever made in distilling?
One time we were running out of Blanco, and we were super urgent to make Blanco, but we didn't have the time to make Blanco because it was an urgency for a client. So we have a lot of añejo in bulk tequila, like a lot. So we said, let's think out of the box and what can we do with the añejo. And the cristalinos didn't exist in that time. And I came to the CRT with my team and say, hey, CRT, can we use the añejo that we have and redistill and make blanco? Because it's faster to us to make only the distillation rather than to find agave, cooking, wait for the fermentation, distillation. They said yes. Nobody does because it's expensive. No, you're wasting your money and time. But working with my finance team as well, we make the calculation in that time. And yeah, because we have so much añejo, I have to make the decision. And it was, to me, it was tough because me as producer, I know how much time and effort we put to make that añejo. No, imagine is our añejo is 18 months to 2 years. So that añejo was roughly 2 years plus the production process. So it was a lot of time that we make the blanco, and it was a very sweet blanco, very hints of vanilla, but in a natural. So we have to distill not only one, two, sometimes I think three times to remove all the color. We didn't use activated carbon because we want to keep the flavor as much as possible. So that decision was many years ago, and was one of the toughest.
What sets Partida apart besides flavor? It's the philosophy. How do you define the philosophy of Partida?
I think the philosophy is what I mentioned previously, which is continuous improvement, consistency and quality, 100% natural. Uh, I, I think additive free is a movement that started, let's say, 5 years ago. But we have additive. We are original additive free since the beginning. We believe that we raise this. We want to, in order to raise the specification and the quality control, and to be more perfective or pursue perfection, in order to do that, we have raised our standards, not only of additive free, but also in aging time. No, for instance, we age more time. We use, and even the additive free, the most well-known additive free brands, they don't put so much effort and money and time in the aging process like we do. Why I said that? Because I have seen other distilleries use and reuse the same barrel many years. In our case, what we want and is to extract the natural flavor of the wood and the previous product that was in that barrel with our tequila blanco. No, that's the extraction of color comes from using that barrel for a shorter period of time, which is normally no longer than 3 years. So we use the barrel 3 years, and then we need to buy a new barrels, new ex-bourbon barrels, which is costly. No, most of the distillery reuse them or retoast the barrels so they can gain color and flavors. In our case, we are committed to keep consistency in quality of our reposado, añejo, extra añejo, and roble fino, always the same, but with natural aging. And this is just to mention that the other aspect that I previously mentioned is the methanol and superior alcohol. We want to minimize that levels as much as possible, keeping the same profile. I think that's what define and separate Partida from even from the small niche of additive free brands.
With all the expressions that you have, what expression in the Partida lineup reveals your fingerprint the most?
I think the Roble Fino Añejo is the most intense and the highest proof tequila. And to me, I'm very intense in flavor. I like coffee very strong. I like mezcal very strong. I like beers very strong. I like food like cheese very strong. And I do like my all the line of my products. But Roble Fino Añejo, sorry, is the one that has more aromas and flavors because it has double cask. It has 18 months of ex bourbon, and then it's finished in 5 months in an ex Oloroso sherry single malt Scotch whiskey barrel, and it's at 45% alcohol. So it's the more intense, the more balanced, and to me is very good. Tequila. I don't normally drink a lot because I like sports. I'm a runner. I like sport, and but I also like good tequilas in small quantities, and that's the Roble Fino. No, it's a tequila to sip in and to enjoy and have a few. Obviously, if you can handle more, it's a super tasty tequila.
And, I just recently tried it for the first time on one of my last trips. And, I was blown away by the flavors that are in that tequila expression.
Yes, it's unique, and we have heard from very good expert, not only in tequila but also bourbon. Many bourbon that are very bourbon lovers or bourbon aficionados, or these guys that really knows about bourbon and has strain at very high proof. They're now exploring the aging tequilas high proof, and they love it. So they really like all the tequilas, but they identify in Roble Fino very unique white flavors. And we have won also many awards. Last year in Las Vegas, where you are, we won the WSWA, the best of category. Wine enthusiast, we have won Wine and Spear, Ultimate Spears Challenge. I mean, uh, many recognition about the Roble Fino over the last 3 years. Añejo, both Reposado and Añejo, but I would say Añejo is even more recognized than the Reposado.
Is there a moment throughout your career that has almost broke you in doing what you do, and how did you kind of like pull back and reel yourself back in?
I think the COVID moment was very, very tough moment because we were launching Roble Fino in that year, that specific year. We had planned to do in Cinco de Mayo, and you remember the COVID started in March, and all the plans we delayed to September, but then we realized that the COVID didn't go away anywhere soon. So and I have personally, I put a lot of work hours and not only to uh, not only to go to Scotland and to meet the whiskey maker, master of wood, and the master of blended. There have three mastering, but also experiment and bringing those barrels to Tequila Town and with my team putting the Blanco, the Reposado, and then wait and then taste every week or every 2 weeks, measure the color. A lot of time in developing the product, and once we develop the perfect second time aging, then the alcohol by volume from 40% up to 55% samples, not only my team but also consumers, influencers, and finally we develop the packaging, which is very challenging as well because it's a crystal, super heavy crystal hand polish with real Mexican silver painted, no, the Roble Fino. Then the name Roble Fino is a fine oak. It's like a different brand, Roble Fino by Tequila Partida. So all the marketing, all the product development, all the liquid and tasting, and all the compliance and everything was ready to launch, and then the COVID hit, so we had to delay it, and we launched and eventually online, and it was not the way we want. Not it was successful because I think Total Wine, we closed with Total Wine. They purchased the majority of our batch, and and uh, and then but we want to do it differently, not in the off trade, not in the retailer, but more with the on trade, with the bars, restaurant, bartenders, consumers. So it was a tough moment. I would say that's the one of the toughest. And I would say in 20 years we have had many transition with people with different companies, no? So I would say the investors, the main investor at the beginning, American and Mexican, and then we partnered with Edrington, which is Macallan, Highland Park, and Glenrothes, the Scottish company. They have a participation on Tequila Partida and they distribute us for 5 years. And then the new transition since 2022 is Lucas Bols, which is a Dutch company that acquired 100% the company. And I would say the challenge is to adapt to different uh, philosophy, values, way to work. I think that's the most challenging because people is different, no? Not only because of the nation, but the companies has a different way to work, and yeah.
Talking about challenges, how do you navigate the weight of being both the guardian and innovator of legacy in the spirit of Partida?
It's tough, Matt, because it's a business at the end of the day. So the company, there are many people in companies, especially finance people, to want to optimize the profits. And in order to do that, sometimes they push to, or not push, or question why we do this process like this. Why you wait six up to a year for aging? Why you buy barrels every 3 years? If I compare with other public company, they don't invest as much as we do, and their margins are bigger than us, so they can reinvest in marketing or or in commercial. Why you doing this? So all these questions you have to be the guardian and to say, yeah, it's because is the DNA of this company. Is, to me, there's one word in life and in company, which is your reputation. So if you don't have reputation, that's why I've been with this company since day one, and I keep working with this company because it's my face, is my reputation. Actually, in the bottles, is my name in some bottles in the Roble Fino, no? So that's why, to me, I have to be the guardian. I understand that it's a business, but I think when you have a good product and that the people appreciate, even if you don't market that is that way, the people recognize and say, "Wow, this añejo is underrated, no? Because you pay $50 and it's an amazing añejo, or this blanco that is less than $40 and it's additive free and it's real and it's good, it's consistency." Or the reposado, no? So, so it's a balance to me, but my position is to save and to be the guardian of the formula and the improvement and the consistency, but also with the constant improvement.
And has there ever been a batch that you absolutely loved, but it never made to bottle?
Yes, a project called Maromero. Maromero, when we start doing the Roble Fino, we asked the Edrington company, they were our partners, if we can have access to these barrels. When I did this trip in 2018 to McAllen and Highland Park in Glen Rothes, I asked the people, no, the executive team in Scotland, that I want to experiment with these barrels. So it was tough. It took me almost a year to escalate and to ask for those barrels. So finally, when they sent the barrels, the whiskey maker said, "Jose, I'm gonna send the barrels with 1 gallon of new make." And I said, "Why new? What is the new make?" And he said, "Okay, is the new make? Remember when you were in the distillery here? Or is the liquid that is your blanco? No, is the whiskey without age?" And I said, "Why you're putting the new make?" And he said, "It's because we want to keep wet the barrels during because it's gonna be on a container on a boat, so it's gonna take you a month to be in tequila." So I said, "Okay." When they arrived to the distillery, it was tough. Oh well, first of all, arrived to Veracruz, which is the port. And the Mexican authority said, "No, we cannot import this because in your paper, your pedimento, which is the import document, says barrels, no, 40 barrels or whatever is the number, not the liquid. So you have liquid, so we have to retain the liquid. So the customs, they have to retain and remove the liquid." And I said, "Okay." So the barrels arrive, and we said we want, because we were experimenting, right? We were experimenting with 1, 2, 3 barrels, but not with 40. So how can I keep the barrels wet? Because a barrel, if it's not filled with tequila or a spirit, is gonna dry out. So the rings are gonna be not tight, and it's gonna leaks, and it's gonna destroy the barrel eventually. So we put 1 gallon of tequila blanco at high proof in each of these barrel, and one of the person in the aging room was rotating the barrels every 2-3 days. And we call in Spanish maromear. It's like rotating yourself, no? When you are a kid and you're doing like maromero. So we call that project maromero because the liquid that we obtained from those barrels was amazing, because it's a small liquid. It was 1 gallon that extract the barrel, and that liquid I still have in tank, and it's called Maromero, which is a project that we want to launch. But in this company transition from Edrington to Lucas Wolf, we never launched this Maromero. So I have this batch of Maromero, which is basically tequila blanco, that extract a lot of the flavor of the Oloroso sherry, single malt Scotch whiskey, the Spanish oak, super flavor and very intense. But I cannot bottle because I sent to the CRT analysis, and it has a lot of esteres, which is a lot of solid, no, let's say solid dissolves. So it's very colorful, and but it's out of the norm. So we need to do a blend and I use that to natural blend with the Roble Fino. If one Roble Fino is a little weaker, then with this Maromero, we can put a few percentage and make a stronger with more flavor of the European oak.
That's so fascinating to know that about the Roble Fino. Like, it gets little hints here and there of that, the expression that you weren't able to bottle.
Yes, it's unique, the Maromero, and we, like I said, is we cannot bottle unless we do a blend. And obviously, we are thinking how can we use that Maromero for a small project, no? Like let's say 25 years of Partida. We're gonna launch a new limited production, let's say 1,000 crystal bottles with Maromero, no? Blended with Extrañejo or with Blanco, whatever. We need to work on that project, but that's a happy problems that we have, no? Like when you have this kind of liquid that you really enjoy, and also we have an Extrañejo that we finish only in sherry oak, because the barrels that we receive, it was sherry with single malt. But then I asked, why can we try? Can we try as only sherry oak, oloroso sherry with no whiskey? They said yes. They sent me two, and I put Extrañejo and Reposado and Añejo. First Añejo, move the Añejo, put the Reposado. So I have experiments, a few small tanks with double cask tequilas that we haven't released. So eventually we're gonna use them.
When talking about the tequila industry, what frustrates you the most?
I think that is not a fair play of the big companies with the small companies. I think is unfair in certain ways. Not only in the market, but also in the production. They're more, sometimes the authorities support more the big companies because obviously they provide more money to the industry, more jobs, and more to the taxes. So they obviously have they have a easier way to work. Sometimes, so I don't see it's fair to smaller producer, and also in the market. No, in the marketing, we see with the distribution is frustrate me a lot. The unfair play of marketing and just lack of education in the market, but that is changing. I think at least in the US is different than in Mexico. In the US, that's why the opportunity that we have and many other small brands is that there's no monopoly. In Mexico, there is a monopoly of big, maybe a couple of big companies, but in the US is more, let's say, more fragmented with the small companies, because the reason is because people, the consumer in the US, and it's hard to say, but they know more than us as a Mexican consumer, talking as a country, because the US market obviously consume all the different segments of tequila, the value, which is the cheap or mainstream tequila, even mixto, no, like very cheap tequilas, but they also you also consume value, premium, ultra premium, and all the categories of tequilas, and you are involved like yourself is many people. I see over the years so many people, ambassadors of tequila and mezcal, that invest time to do a research about distillery, to reach the right people in the companies, to have the information. And in Mexico, unfortunately, we don't have that level of education. And when you have this level of education, even the marketing is big, you don't go with the marketing and also the distribution, because in Mexico, the distribution is different than in the US. The distribution in Mexico is controlled by the big companies, so they have their own distribution. In the US, by law, there are many distributors, and you can work with different distributors to present your product. So sorry to say like a long answer, but I think that what frustrates me more is that sometimes that I see I want to grow more, I want to reach more people, but I see big companies want to gain the whole market.
Talking about marketing and bigger companies, have celebrity brands hurt the craft or helped? And where do you draw the line when it comes to tequila?
I think celebrities help us. I do believe. Why is that? Because many celebrities followers didn't taste tequila before until they start on social media following their celebrity and say, oh, my celebrity is launching a brand of tequila. I have to go and buy it and taste it. So they taste it and they come to maybe from bourbon or from whiskey or from vodka, from rum, or only beer or wine, and they come and taste tequila, even it's not the best sometimes, or the majority, I would say. Uh, they are in the industry. They tasted. They They made the first step to taste tequila and to try to educate. Then the next step is to us to say, okay, I know you like the tequila because of the celebrity. Now that you're drinking tequila, please try all these different tequilas. And that's when we see that people that start gaining into the tequila, now they're moving to another level. No, okay. And some of them, no, they prefer because the celebrity, even they know, they go to the bartender and say, I don't care, I want this because it's my celebrity and I want to support her or him, and it's okay. But some other people, they're recruiting more tequila drinkers, and eventually, over the years, if you have friends and you have a connection and social media, even in social media, a lot of influencers, they're gonna teach you how to taste and to compare different brands.
We talked about legacy a little bit before in the show. How do you reset when the pressure of building a legacy feels too heavy? And by that, like, how do you decompress when it feels like it's too much?
In my case, I think that's why I run. I like to balance the life with sport and family, and try to keep the pressure controlled. I think stress is good and pressure is good, but not all the time. I think in good moments help you to push you and to improve yourself. No, is good. But if it's all the time that modify your sleeping and your way of thinking, and you're not in peace, in mental peace to work in new projects and think clearly, then it's not good. That's a signs that you need to have a break, or uh, yeah, or reset, or I normally that's why I practice sport, and on weekends I try not to work and spend time more with my family, my kids, my wife, my parents, and my relatives. I have a big family, so, and also friends and running. I think balancing helped me to yeah, to decompress the pressure and the stress for the legacy and to the perfection to make a good tequila all the time.
And you as a person, what do most people misunderstand about you?
It's a good question. I think we should ask the people, because I don't know. Well, I don't know, Matt, to be honest. I don't know what.
Okay. So let's just say all of this disappeared tomorrow. What part of the journey would you still carry with you?
I think all the people that was involved in the company over the years, and the experience that we live together, and also the I would say not only the people in the company, all the people that I have met because of this company and because of this product, and the visitors at the distillery, the trip that I have made in the US and other countries. Uh, yeah, the goals that we have reached as a team in terms of partnership, in terms of volumes, in terms of developing a product and a new market alliance. I think I will keep that, no, like the people, the moments, the achievements we have done over these 20 years, and the satisfaction. I would say the most important is the satisfaction and that every single bottle of Partida that has been produced, I have been it's been approved and tasted by meal. So if I'd say if I found a bottle, even if it's 20 years later of Partida, that I have a batch that I supervise, then I will be comfortable and proud to taste it and to share.
And so, talking moments throughout out your career, what's the proudest moment that you've had, and what's the lowest that you've had?
I think the proudest was the developing of Roblefino, when we developed Roblefino and launched Roblefino, because it was very personal, that project, because I get involved after this trip to Scotland, and to become reality that cost us a lot of time, a lot of effort. And I think that's why when you realize that things that take you so much sacrifice and so much effort, at least I appreciate more. So that I would say it's a big win to see that is respect by the consumers, and it's a winning product. That's the biggest satisfaction, I would say. The lowest, oof, many with the over the, like I said, also there's been a moment of failure, or when we first, even the Roblefino, when we were bottling the first Roblefino, the first batch that we received, the bottles were with that defect that it was broken. The bottles, when we put it was only 300 bottles were with defects, but we had to send all the batch back to the producer of glass, and it was a major problem for us, for quality, and to delay even more the launching of the product. That was a tough moment, one of the toughest, and I have had many difficult moments, especially with the alliance. Every time that we have an alliance with a company, it's a very tough moment, because it's adapting to a different culture, a different people, and has been amazing moments, but also tough negotiation, and also a lot of work to do, a lot of stress in some cases, and a lot of failures in some negotiation as well, with distributor, with markets, and quality. We have had some problems with quality one time with a cap. That there was a whole batch that the cap at the beginning Partida, the cap was natural cork, and that cork, one batch was not in good quality, and it was we see bottles with small pieces of cork. So it was rejected and sent it back to the distillery, like a whole container, and then filter, and that was tough. Like I said, in 20 years, many challenge moving from one distillery to other distillery. We moved from Amatitan 1454 was the first distillery in Amatitan. We worked there 2 years. Then we moved to Tequila Town to 1502. That was a big challenge to bring my team from the first distillery to the second distillery because it was a bigger distillery. What else? Yeah, I mean, many. But I like this kind of challenge. No, it's part of the journey. So
having poured the majority of your life into tequila, what do you hope that it says about you when you're gone?
I think that I was a person, honest and a person with integrity that follow his value, and those values were reflected on his job and on his products.
Where can everyone find you guys on social media? And if you're on social media, where can everyone find you?
Yes, we have social media for the company, which in Instagram is at Tequila Partida, as well in Facebook. We don't have the TikTok. And my personal Instagram is Pepe Valdez, which is Pepe is the nickname of Jose. So at Pepe Valdez, you can find me or in LinkedIn. I'm very active in LinkedIn. Is Jose Guadalupe Valdez Reynoso. My complete name, Jose Guadalupe Valdez Reynoso on LinkedIn, Pepe Valdez on Instagram, and the company's at Tequila Partida.
Well, Jose, I appreciate your time and thank you so much for being on the show. Everyone, have a great night and hope you enjoyed the episode.
Thank you, Matt, for having me tonight. And thank you for the audience. Thank you for those who are listening.